What's up guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today's labour vlog, and he has been in this world for a big 5 days. I can't believe it. I don't want the time to go by so fast. I've just done like a really big feed and he's gone down, so fingers crossed. This will probably take about half an hour and hopefully he'll stay down the whole time. So yeah, excuse the pajama life, but this is basically attire from here on out. I realised that I haven't changed out of sweats. Obviously they're fresh sweats, but I haven't changed out of sweats in the last 5 days. So yeah, this is kind of my attire from here on out. I have my phone here with me to help me try and remember all the parts, because it was such a long process, it was such a long labour, and it was so different to how I wanted it to be, to how I envisioned it could be, and it was a lot harder than I thought. So I definitely don't want to make this like video about a negative labour for anyone who is still like pregnant, and I just want to give a very real and honest account and kind of like how I feel about it now. Because yeah, as I said, for those who follow me on Instagram, you guys know that I was definitely trying for a hypnobirth. That then kind of went out the window a little bit when my water birth got cancelled because of COVID. Then I wasn't allowed like my doula and stuff in the room. So all those little things I think took a bit of an impact in terms of the labour that I actually experienced. And all that matters is that he's here and he's healthy. So that is the most important thing. But yeah, this is my labour story. So I was due on the 7th of April and Alfie ended up being born on April 15th. So he was 41 plus 1 day. But the whole process for us started on day 41, so on last Tuesday. And we started by going to the hospital around midday because I was worried that maybe his amniotic fluid had been leaking, because I had experienced quite an increased amount of watery discharge. I also don't really know how to do this vlog without kind of just being very transparent. So I realised a lot of the things may not be that nice to hear, but this is the kind of vlog that it is. A little bit of a change of plan right now. Jack and I are on our way to the hospital. We have everything packed up in the car just in case anything is wrong, but there's been like 1 or 2 warning signs of things today that have just made me a little bit nervous. So I'm heading in now to the hospital to check that everything is okay, that there's no infection and baby is all good. So yeah, feeling a little bit nervous, but just trying not to get worried about something that hasn't happened yet. So we'll see. Hope it's all okay. I don't know how to start it. Good news, everything is great with Bub, and still getting more powerful contractions. All good. So she checked me as well, still good old 1 centimetre dilated. We actually went for a sweep today upon her recommendation, but also something that I felt very comfortable with. So my contractions, I would say right now, are about 6 minutes apart, 5-6 minutes apart, but they're probably only lasting for about 20 to 30 seconds. It's definitely at the point where I'm having to kind of stop and breathe through them rather than just carry on talking. But yeah, I don't think it was certainly not any active stage of labour, but I feel like we're getting closer, which is exciting. We got home and the contractions were still going like 6 minutes apart. By the time it reached 5 p.m. that night, it got to a stage where I was like, okay, this is like really starting, because I can no longer breathe or talk through these contractions in like a normal way. I really have to take big deep breaths and really focus on what I'm doing. So I said to Jack, like, let's get the room and the house set up and like prepare for the start of labour, because this is not fake labour anymore. Like this is real labour happening right now. So Jack was amazing. He got all the rooms set up. We turned off all the lights in the house. We got the whole house filled with candles. We had bought these like rechargeable ones from IKEA, because you can bring them into hospital, because obviously they're not like a real flame. And yeah, we just put this app on called Freya, which is a hypnobirthing app that guides you through the breathing when you're having the contractions, and then kind of fulfills you with positive reinforcements between each contraction. And we actually only downloaded it like a day before, because one of my followers on Instagram had really kindly messaged me with that suggestion, and it was amazing. So anyone who wants just a bit of support or a bit of external concentration during labour, the Freya app was awesome. I thought it was really, really good.
Relax your shoulders. Deep breath in and out.
So weird how it, like, your body totally changes from having to focus on that fully and then being okay. Not sure I'm looking forward to like the 20-second rests in between.
How are you getting on there, Carson?
Good. Just waiting for the next one.
How are you feeling?
It got to 11:30 p.m. we were being at home, and by that point my contractions were around 2 to 3 minutes apart, definitely a minute long, and they'd been going that way for a few hours. So I said to Jack, like, right, I think we need to get to hospital now, because you obviously have no idea how dilated you are, and the last thing I wanted to do was arrive at hospital very late into my labour, like 8 centimetres or 9 centimetres dilated, and then kind of, I don't know, have labour stall because my body had gone into such a change of environment. So I just wanted to be able to settle into hospital a little bit. But between us, like, I definitely thought that I was, well, quite far along, given how close my contractions were and how strong they were. And obviously everyone feels pain in a different way. I thought, or I think, or I don't know, I thought, it's kind of hard not to doubt yourself, that my pain threshold was quite high and they were painful. So I was like, this is it. Jack and I get to the hospital at 12 p.m. The car journey was not fun at all. I started by sitting down, and every time a contraction came when I was sitting down was just awful. So I ended up like turning around in the car and holding onto the front seat, kind of in a backward position to try and ease the pain a little bit. That didn't really help, to be honest. So by the time we got into hospital, I was like, okay, we're well on our way here. I asked her to check me, the midwife on duty. We got in and she checked me and I was 3 centimetres dilated. And at that point, they kind of said to you, like, you can choose whether you want to go home or whether you want to stay in the hospital. We chose to stay in the hospital because we had all our stuff packed in the car. I felt like going home and then coming back again and like putting myself through that car journey stress again was just totally unnecessary. It was a sort of established labour, but it was early doors. And to be honest, hearing that I was only 3 centimetres and knowing how quickly my contractions were coming and knowing how long it could be, given that they say with like first time babies it's like an hour per centimetre, it was really, really disheartening and unmotivating, demotivating. And I found that quite hard to take. So she spoke to me about painkiller options, an epidural or injection they put into your leg that's kind of similar to morphine, I think, that helps take away the pain. So anyway, I obviously from the beginning wanted to try and do a birth with perhaps only gas and air as a pain relief. So I got in the shower at that point. We had brought our birthing ball in. I got in the shower and I sat on stood in the shower for 2 hours. And I have to say the water was amazing. Like, it was such a great pain relief. I would say my pain got reduced by like 40 to 50%. Oh, someone's not happy. It's okay, Alfie. It's okay, Papa. Good boy. I was in the shower for 2 hours and after that my back was killing me. If anyone knows my back issues from my Instagram page, like, I have fusion of my L5-S1, I have scoliosis, and I have a kind of spondylolisthesis of my L4. So safe to say my back is not great and it was really starting to hurt. I got out the shower. I had been in labour, sort of super active labour by that point, for 9 hours, experiencing these contractions, and I asked her to check me and I was 5 centimetres. And to me that was just like, I can't do this. Like, the only way that I'm finding some pain relief naturally is by standing in that shower, and I can't stand in that shower for another 5, 6, 7 hours, 8 hours, however long this is going to take. I was just exhausted. I was starving, hungry as well. I got out the shower and was like, I need to eat now. And I asked for the epidural. And I said to Jack, it was really hard because I was in the shower and I kind of said to him like, oh, God, I don't know why it makes me upset. I said to him, like, I don't know, there was a part of me that wanted to be able to do it without any pain relief, not to prove anything to anyone, just for myself to kind of know that I had enough strength within me to do that. So I think there was a part of me that was perhaps a little disappointed that I wasn't able to. But everyone experiences pain in different ways, and I certainly don't judge myself for that on reflection, and I certainly don't judge anybody else. If I went through labour again, I'm sure an epidural will probably be like an early doors sort of intro. But yeah, it was, I don't know, it was just a change in what we had anticipated. Hi. Shh, shh, shh. Hungry? Are you hungry? Okay, we're gonna have to go feed. 1 sec. Epidural is in, feeling a lot better. This is not quite how I envisioned the birth, but that's, I guess, why they say don't have a birth plan, have birth preferences. So we're gonna try and get some sleep now. It's 2:30 in the morning and I get another check in 4 hours. So we'll see how dilated I am then. The biggest superstar ever. You've been so great.
I haven't been great at all. It's all been you.
Oh, that's your bed.
Looks comfortable.
Yeah. Let's sleep.
Right.
I managed to kind of doze off a little bit for about an hour, and then after an hour's time I woke up bolt right, sort of just shaking and shivering so much my teeth would not stop, and I was sick everywhere. And apparently it's very normal in labour for that to happen. I don't think that's kind of unique to me in that sense. So the only problem is that for the next 4 hours, so I had the epidural at 2, and then between 2 and 6 it happened 3 times, and the pain halfway through started just going all to my left lower back. Like, that's just the only place I felt it, and I was saying to the guys, like, please, you need to do something, because right now it was weird. Like, the pain flipped from my contractions in my stomach to that left lower back side, and it was just horrible. It was really horrible.
Morning, Carly.
Morning.
How are you feeling?
I'm good, excited, a bit nervous. I can't believe he's going to be here in the next hour, we hope. I don't know.
What stage are we at now?
So, I don't know, what is the stage called? Thirdly?
Fully dilated.
Fully dilated.
Yeah, so second stage of labour.
Second stage of labour, fully dilated. We have, what are we at? Are we at 18 hours? Did I say no? 12 plus, so 15 hours, near enough. Just had some apple juice to give me some energy and getting ready to go.
Good. You've been a superstar. Absolute superstar.
So I had a new midwife come in, and by 8:30 she was lovely and she was so sweet and very supportive, but she was like, okay, it's time, you're gonna need to start kind of pushing at 8:30. My doctor had been in the hospital, I think since like 4 a.m. delivering 2 other babies. He came in to see me, and I don't know, he was just very like, right, okay, like I'm going to do a C-section and then we'll come back and we'll get this baby out. But it felt very like cold, it felt very unemotional. I don't know, like there was no empathy there, there was no like excitement there was just like a job had to be done, and I didn't like that at all. Like, for me, that was the way he was the whole time during the labour, when I look back, is quite difficult for me to take. But I just have to focus on the fact that Alfie's healthy and well, and that's all that matters. But yeah, I started pushing with the midwife at 8:30. My doctor was in with a C-section at the time, so he wasn't there. And she was super encouraging, and it was really weird because the epidural was still kicked in, so I wasn't feeling the contractions to a strong degree at all, and I certainly wasn't feeling that like natural pushing sort of reflex that you kind of learn about in hypnobirthing. I didn't feel it, and that worried me, because I was like, how the hell am I meant to just kind of push a baby out with it? Like, it felt like I was walking around in my normal day life and someone was just like, okay, cool, lie down in the bed and start pushing. The the doctor came in and I said to him, like, I'd really like to try pushing on my side, because from what I understood or from what I had learned, if you push on your side, you have a little bit more space because your tailbone's able to kind of open up a little bit. And he didn't laugh at me, but he was just like, okay, well, you can do what you want, but like, that's not true. And I was like, okay. And like, I don't mind, he obviously knows a lot more than me, but I want to be explained these things rather than being made to feel silly to ask them. And he just said, you know, you can try it if you want, but yeah, it makes no difference. And I was like, he mentioned the word push, and I was like, oh, I want to kind of, you know, breathe out the baby. And he was like, no, like, you need to push the baby hard and fast, and then you can breathe when it comes to the coming out the kind of perineum, the final stage bit. I was like, okay, which everything I've learned during hypnobirthing was that you could kind of breathe your baby out and not push, but by that time, you know your baby's like nearly there and you want him out safely. And so, I don't know, you do kind of fall to what the doctors and what the professionals around you are telling. So anyway, I was pushing for about 20 minutes with the midwife, kind of breathing pushing, and it wasn't sort of successful at that stage, I guess. And then the doctor came in and was like, okay, like, time to start like really upping this. So you kind of got my legs in the stirrups and was like, right, hold your breath when you're pushing. So it was more of like a silent, really strong push. And I kept trying to ask him for feedback. What's going on? Like, is he coming down? What's happening? And he, honestly, his response was just like, you just need to push more, you need to push stronger. And your legs are up on the bed, you're very exposed. And between each contraction, he was just kind of looking out the window. And I just, I don't know, it's very hard. It was not what I wanted my doctor to be like at all. He felt very disattached from the situation, not one word of positive reinforcement. And I just had to kind of shut my eyes and shut that out. The person standing in front of me down there, and just listen to the midwife and listen to Jack, who was up by my head on my left, saying like, good job and well done. And all the rest of it. So yeah, that was not ideal. So I was told that I'm allowed to push for like an hour before they need to intervene with other measures, just in case stress is going on the baby. And at that point I had reached like 45 minutes, and I kept saying to my doctor, like, what's going on? Like, how's he doing? He's like, well, you just need to kind of push stronger. Like, I think you're going to need help. And I said to him, like, obviously that's forceps or a ventouse where they suction the baby's head out, which is, again, not what I wanted. But if it means he comes into this world safely, then like, whatever, at that point, whatever he needs to do is fine. And I just kind of looked at him, I was like, well, okay, if you're telling me that what I'm doing right now is not going to get him out within 15 minutes, then like, do the ventouse now, because I don't really understand the point in waiting and going through this stress. And he was like, okay. So he put the suction cap on Alfie, which, bless him, when he came out had like a really bad, like, the skin obviously gets like pulled away a little bit, and that just kind of broke my heart, because you feel, I'm so emotional for all the hormones. You feel like as a mum, you could have like prevented that, and it's fine. Like, it doesn't seem like it hurts him, but obviously any cut to your baby that you have, like, has happened because you haven't been able to do something, it's just a bit like stressful in that first few days. So Alfie, he got the ventouse, and about 10 minutes later Alfie came out. He was born at 9:30. And he was put on my chest, but he was very blue, which I know is normal, and he was not breathing. So like, I knew it always took a few seconds to kind of get them going, but I don't know, it felt like 30 seconds or 60 seconds. And I kind of looked at the midwife and I was like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong? And obviously all these horrible images flashed through your head, and she was like, I need to take him away. He's got mucus in his lungs, like, I just need to get out the mucus. And she knew that I wanted to do skin to skin straight away, so, and she was very supportive of that. So I knew that when she said like, he has to go, it was for the best. It wasn't just because she was kind of ignoring my wishes of skin to skin or whatever. Oh, I forgot the episiotomy. So yeah, as Alfie's coming out, my doctor tells me that he thinks I need to cut. I have told him before that I would prefer to tear naturally if that is the case, but not if it means like a horrific tear that is going to be really bad to heal. So I had an episiotomy, and so while Alfie was kind of getting everything cleared, and it was horrible because I could hear him crying, and I kept saying to Jack, like, what's going on? Is he okay? Yeah, it was quite stressful. So anyway, Jack kept me updated, which was good and kind of made me feel calm. And then my placenta was delivered and I had the stitches down there, which I didn't feel really because the epidural and I guess everything going on. And then eventually Alfie was brought back to me and he was fine. He had the mucus gone and Alfie was on my chest, and like the whole world just kind of seemed to melt away. Like, it was just the most amazing, oh gosh, it was just the most amazing moment, and it feels so surreal that you have this baby in your arms that's like been in your stomach for 10 months or so. So yeah, that was labour for me. I certainly couldn't have done any of it without Jack there. Like for me, that was the number one main thing that got me through it all. It was a lot harder than I thought. It was a lot harder than I anticipated. It was a lot longer than I anticipated. Like it was a 16-hour, just over 16-hour labour, which I don't know whether that's normal for a first-time mum or not. I don't need to compare it to anyone, but for me, like it was a really long time to endure such long contractions at such quick succession, and ones that for me felt painful, like they did. So yeah, but now we have this most precious little boy in the world, and I love him with all my heart, and we're just so happy, and I can't wait to share more of this journey with you guys now that the labour story's out of the way. Like I can start talking about him in life and what we're learning and how we're learning and growing with him. So if you want to see more, please hit like if you like this video, and I would love if you could leave a comment so I could get to know people more on here, and obviously please do subscribe because it really helps to support the channel as well. But thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you all next week. Lots of love.